Hey guys, it's Eddie and today I am back with another movie review for you all. Now, it's Halloween. Great. What a perfect time to watch the 2000 film American Psycho, starring Christian Bale, Reese Witherspoon, Willem Dafoe and Jared Leto. This movie, what a wild ride. I think we're just going to jump straight into it. This film follows the life of Patrick Bateman, played by Christian Bale. He's, a businessman on Wall Street. He's young, he's handsome, and he likes killing people. Unexpected, right? Well, if you didn't guess from the title that there was, something wrong with him, then there you go. I think this is a very different kind of slasher film, a very different kind of horror film. It sort of adopts that whole comedic feel, which I like. I think comedy and horror go very, very well together. It's very black, it's very dark, but nevertheless very enjoyable. What I think this film does really, really well is that it showcases the completely sexist opinions of young men in high places, their obsession with the ridiculously irrelevant small things, their ridiculous competition with each other, and their superiority complex. I think, they, in their little group that blinds. I'm filming in front of a window, sorry. I think, within their conversations with each other, you get glimpses of them just being total arseholes. And, that area of society that is just completely ridiculous. And I think that's good. I enjoyed that side of it because it kind of shows them to be complete idiots. But within that, there's Patrick. And he is sort of completely void of all the emotions you'd expect from a normal human being. He constantly wants to compete with his fellow businessmen. If they have a better calling card than he does, he is overcome with this terrible rage and wants to kill them. And it's a very strange film, I think. Especially the ambiguity that comes with it, which is like, did this or did this not happen? Which is what you kind of get towards the end of the film, towards the conclusion. Because obviously he goes on these manic rampages, and it is very surreal. It is very surreal. And the ambiguity is quite cool. I like that. And there's also, some really sort of shockingly grotesque scenes. I will only say, chainsaws dropped from a height, heads in fridges. That's all I'll say. But there were some really sort of split-second moments of a real touch of horror, which I liked. Those bits really kind of shocked me. There were sort of cool flickers of, true elements of the horror genre, and yet there were also elements of real comedy. For example, I will say faces in the mirror sex scene. I thought that made me sort of laugh quite a bit. And there was also a scene involving Huey Lewis in the News, which was also accompanied by horror, but I found myself laughing through it. It was a very, very weird situation. So there was some moments of hilarity amidst horror, and I really liked that. I thought it was quirky, weird, wonderful in a weird way. But yeah, I thought that the mix of comedy and horror was cool. But then we also get some really fantastic narration from Bale as Bateman. which sort of brings you the darker elements of his character and the darker elements of this situation. This man is very troubled. He doesn't know what's happening to him, but he constantly, he says he can feel this pain and this, you know, rage within him that he can't satisfy. And that's when we see that this goes a lot deeper than perhaps we'd anticipate. And I think that's good. And I think Christian Bale himself as Bateman is so good. I think he just got the character spot on. I read this thing where it said that he'd actually drawn inspiration for the character from watching interviews of Tom Cruise. And I can really see it when he's sort of having a normal conversation instead of, you know, killing people. You can really sort of see touches of that in his performance, and it's so clever that he drew on that because it just completely works. Brilliant stroke of, you know, genius. Anyway, he's so great in the role. I think we particularly see his devotion to the role in the sort of what I like to call the manic telephone confession scene, in which he confesses to his lawyer all that he's done throughout the movie. And he's laughing and crying at the same time, and he's sweating and panicking, and it's just the epitome of a psycho. And that sort of manic horror is so well played by Bale. I think it's a fantastic performance because throughout the movie we see him sort of kind of deadpan and, you know, clever, funny, emotionless, but in that moment we see a real peak of panic, and it's brilliant. I think he was right for the role. He was just brilliant. It was a brilliant performance. It's the perfect portrayal of madness and panic in that scene, which has grown from these sort of constant encounters of, you know, thoughtless murder, and it's great. I do think that in the film they could have gone a little bit further with the gore. You know, there were some quite bad moments, but a lot of the parts of the movie that were gory weren't gory enough, I don't think, especially compared to what we got in the book. Obviously you can't do all of what was in the book and put it all on screen, because I think that would have just been a tasteless gore fest. But then again, it might be it might be appropriate to consider that maybe the thought of what he did was a lot more disgusting and unsettling than what we actually saw him do. So that might be interesting to think about. There was some definite nudity and sex. There was some definite violence. So if you guys don't want to see that, don't watch this movie. Although it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. There are definitely movies that are far more gory than this. And as I said, there may be the problem with that. I think I had a lot of promise and maybe didn't follow through. But I think it's a classy slasher film in a way, if you look at it in the, you know, in a different way. I would definitely recommend it to any sort of slasher horror fans, you know, black comedy fans. I think it's one to definitely consider watching for Halloween. And I think it was a good movie. Did it follow through on the promise that it gave me? Maybe it felt a little bit short. I was expecting maybe a little bit more. But nevertheless, I enjoyed it. I did have a good time watching it. It was shocking enough, funny enough for me to, you know, enjoy it with the perfect balance. And yeah, if I had to give it a rating out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it, you know, 3.5, borderline 4 probably. And yeah, as I said, Christian Bale's acting was great. The supporting cast around him were fantastic. I think it had really great acting for a film that, you know, goes down the horror route. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it to any horror fans, and I hope you enjoy it if you do watch it. Leave your suggestions for any movies you want me to watch in the comments below. I will of course try my very best to review them for you and get back to you, and you can also message me on my Tumblr as well, and I'll do my very best. But with that, there is my take on American Psycho, and I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.